Thank you. Again, for the record, Darryl Perry, CEO of Lobby LLC. And a lot of the points that I made regarding HB240 apply to HB497 as well. Plus, if adopted, this would put the Libertarian Party of New Hampshire in a very precarious situation of either violating state law by not binding our delegates, or violating national party rules by binding our delegates, which is something that is specifically prohibited by the Libertarian Party national bylaws. So if the Libertarian Party retains ballot access through 2020, we have the primary, we don't bind our delegates because we actually want our delegates seated at the national convention. Then in 2024, if we are still a party, we would be prohibited from having a presidential primary because we violated state law by not violating party rules. So I think this is, a solution looking for a bigger problem than it is. This is something that would best be handled, as Representative Porter mentioned, through amending the party bylaws to handle it that way. This does not need a statute. And again, I believe it is blatantly unconstitutional and would most likely be challenged if passed.
Thank you. Questions for Mr. Perry? Representative Perry?
Thank you, Madam Chair. It sounds like what you're saying to this is where I'm getting a little confused. What's been added here is a penalty for violation of existing law. So what I heard you say is that the Libertarian Party does not comply with existing law, but there's really no problem because without this bill, there's no penalty for violating it.
Well, the Libertarian Party, firstly, hasn't had party status. So because we've not had party status, we've not had a primary since the 1990s. But even when we did have primaries in the 1990s, Libertarian national bylaws still prohibited the binding of delegates. What this says is that the Secretary of State shall apportion delegates. It doesn't necessarily mean that they are bound per se, but what the added language would specify is that if they are not apportioned in accordance with this specific thing. So if, let's say, Larry Sharp winds up getting 20% of the vote in the New Hampshire Libertarian Party primary in 2 years, unless we have exactly 20% of our delegates that vote for him at the National Convention, then we would be in violation of this. Now, again, party rules prohibit the binding of delegates, so there could be something to where it's a coincidence that the number of people vote a certain way at the convention, but specifically binding, and again, that's just one candidate. So unless everybody had the equal number of votes in accordance with what is deemed to be the proper apportionment, then we would wind up losing the primary. But again, if we blatantly say, yes, we are binding our delegates, then the Libertarian Party National Committee would not seat any delegates from the state of New Hampshire, and then people in New Hampshire would be disenfranchised in the party vote. So you're putting, parties other than Republicans and Democrats that have bylaws that specifically prohibit binding of delegates in a precarious situation of, do we violate party rules and not have our delegates seated, or do we violate state law and lose the right to a primary?
Follow-up?
Representative.
Thank you. So it sounds like what you're saying, the existing law that has the Secretary of State apportion delegates is basically meaningless and doesn't do anything because nobody has to follow it, and at least in the case of some parties, not just the Libertarian, but apparently the Democratic Party, the Secretary of State does his thing and says, here's the apportionment, and then the Democratic Party says, well, we really don't care, we like super delegates, so I take your apportionment and, file it someplace.
Right, it does seem as though there's, a statute that might not necessarily be able to be enforced because party rules do allow for alternative methods of delegates as well.
Thank you for your answer, Representative Pearson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Seeing someone from the Secretary of State's office in the room here,
Who happens to have a pink card.
I was just going to say, would it be appropriate to bring them? I've got some questions I think we might be able to ask.
Yeah, I think so. Any other questions for Mr. Perry? I'm seeing none, thank you.